openers are amazing. I couldn't be happier with this company.
We absolutely love these cages.
One at a time, okay, guys?
Hey guys, welcome to another Coturnix Corner Live. Glad everyone could join us tonight. And I don't know what happened on that opening, guys, but that's what happens when you work all day out in the shop, painting and breathing in fumes that you shouldn't be. Because I had an opener all set up that was supposed to play, and something didn't happen right. So anyhow, we'll get that one right next week. Again, I want to thank you guys all for joining us. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We did around here. I ate way too much the first day and went into a coma, slept for about 3 hours, and got up and did it all over again. So that was stupid. But I don't know if you guys noticed on the opener, we had a new video play, a 30-second video for Thieving Otter Farms, and that is one of our going to be one of our regular videos that plays every week. Thieving Otter Farm is now a official sponsor of Coturnix Corner, so I would like to say thank you to Rebecca and Thieving Otter Farm for that. For those of you who didn't see last week's live stream, I would highly recommend that you check it out. It was a really good live, guys. We had Michael Rose and Rebecca Lynch on here. Michael made some announcements regarding Southwest Game Birds and what's going on with him, for the upcoming future. And also Rebecca made some announcements how she is taking over a lot of Michael's lines so that they will still be available to you guys. They also made an announcement about a new color variety that a lot of people were waiting for. I had a bunch of people asking me what this new surprise variety was, and I'm like, guys, I don't know any more than you do. So, but they did announce that the new color variety is called Ginger, and that was, I believe, it was developed by Kai Pepler over in Germany. I'm not 100% sure on that, but if you watch that video, you'll get everything on that. And then Michael had imported some of those birds, and he bred them for a while, and Rebecca got in on it with him, and they kind of tracked down the genealogy of that line. So, like I say, watch last week's live stream, guys. It was a really good live. A lot of information about the new Ginger line of quail, and also another new, I believe it's a new color variety coming out in the springtime by Thieving Otter Farms, and you can find out more about that over on it's 4 S's, Super Secret Something Something Facebook group page that Rebecca's got over there. That's all about the new color lines. But as far as channel sponsors, and hopefully if I got this right, here are our new list of sponsors. This is one thing that actually worked out right. Thieving Otter Farms and Hatching Time are the new official sponsors of Coturnix Corner. So thank you very much to both them companies. Hatching Time donates a $50 gift certificate every week for the live shows to give away to one of you guys. And Thieving Otter Farm is donating some hatching eggs to give away every week to you guys. So appreciate both of them, guys. Big shout out to both companies. We also, I'm in the works right now of talking with a couple other people as far as being I don't know if we're going to do it a full channel sponsorship, or if we're just going to do like a channel supporter type of deal where they can donate hatching eggs also. That way we've got, more than just one set of hatching eggs going out every week. So we're trying to make it interesting for you guys. We will be doing some giveaways today. We've got some Thieving Otter Farm hatching eggs going out. We got a $50 gift certificate from Hatching Time, and we also have a 30 count of I believe it's a mixed variety. I'm not 100% sure of eggs from Bryant's Roost. So 3 of you lucky people will be chosen tonight to receive those, and we'll get to that here shortly. I'm not going to go live long tonight, guys. Like I say, I'm still working on the shop. I got a lot of stuff that I'm working on. I got to get done tonight. Let's see. A shout out for our Sunday live streams, which is Morning Musings. If you guys are up and about at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and you want to join us for Coffee and Quail with Terry, basically we talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, whether it's quail. Last week we talked a lot about honeybees. I don't know how the conversation got onto honeybees, but we went quite a while talking about bees. But whatever you guys want to talk about, it's Sunday morning. We just enjoy our coffee and sit down and talk. We had actually a pretty good crowd this past Sunday. It turned out pretty good. We try to keep it right at 1 hour, just so my whole day isn't shot, by sitting in front of the computer. Also, I want to say the ACBA, which is the American Coturnix Breeders Association, they've got a meeting coming up the first Wednesday of next month. So check that out. You can check out the Facebook group page, American Coturnix Breeders Association. If you're a member, I think you can get into that. If you're not a member, I think you have to go over to the website, which is coturnixbreeders.com. And you can get signed up over there, and then that'll give you access to the Facebook group page. Also, next week, we will be making the announcement for the winner of the Coturnix Kids Project. We have a panel of judges over on the Coturnix Corner community site that selects a new winner each month. And they just sent me next month's winner, so we're going to be doing that next week, Tuesday. I'm not sure the exact date. But we'll be doing it anyhow. We'll be doing it next week, Tuesday. And if you have, your own children want to get involved in this Coturnix Kids Project, you can head on over to coturnixcorner.com, and there's a link at the top of the page that says Coturnix Kids Project. There's also a dedicated space, which is like a group over there that you can get in and kind of get an idea of some of the requirements and how the kids are working up their stories and whatnot to enter. And you don't have to enter every month. It's kind of like once your kids are entered, even if they're not selected, they're still in the running for the following month. So, get them in there. And we have quite a few, submissions. But I think I read the other day that the panel of judges are getting a little bit further down into the list of submissions. So that would be a good time to get your projects in there. Let's see. As far as what I've been working on, guys, and I'm gonna have this stuff will be listed over on Thieving Otter Farm's website also as soon as I get everything straightened out. But I've been doing a lot of woodwork now out in the shop since I got all the quail taken care of or moved out of there, sold basically, and I got my wood shop set back up. But what I've been working on recently is farm signs. So if you guys want to, get a sign made up for your quail business or whatever, it could be any type of stuff. If you go over to GulfCoastQuail.com, that's where I'm listing the stuff right now. I've got a couple different types of signs that we have available, but we can make it for your business, kind of like a personalized business sign for you guys. And what else did I want to say? Oh, I want to give a shout out to Kaylee Richardson and Anita Garrett. Kaylee Richardson runs a channel here on YouTube called The Honeystead, and it's one of my favorite bee channels. Watching Kaylee work with her bees is so cool because she talks to them just like they're her kids. I mean, it's pretty neat. But anyhow, what they did, I guess Kaylee went over and visited Anita, or maybe it was the other way around, and they did a video shout out to me in Coturnix Corner from wherever they were. We'll just say at Anita's. And then the following week, I got another video. Well, Anita contacted me and said, you got a package coming. Don't open it. Just let me know when you get it. And so I let her know when I got it. It turned out to be this hat, which is this is the official logo of the Honeystead, and Kaylee autographed it on the inside. So that was pretty cool, I thought. I mean, just like I say, it's one of my favorite channels, and to get something from the people that run the channel. I mean, this is the first time I've ever got something from another channel. So to me, it was really cool. I guess you guys kind of know, because we give out stuff all the time here on the channel. So I guess it would be kind of like the same thing. But anyhow, I thought that was pretty nice of them, and I really appreciate both of them for doing that. So big shout out to Kaylee and Anita for doing that. Okay, that is about the end of my rambling, I guess. We'll go ahead and jump over into the chat room and see what you guys got to say. If you have any questions, type the letter Q by them, because I'll run through them real quick. It don't look like I've got that many comments in there, so we'll run through them and acknowledge who all's here. Oh, wrong computer. I do that all the time. Speaking of sponsors, Thieving Out of Farms in the house is good evening, friends. Glad you could join us, Rebecca. Let me check one thing real quick. It's weird. I get different. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. Somebody told me how to do that. You got to put it on live chat on this computer. There we go. Now everything's reading correctly. All right. Chris is in the house. Says, how is everyone? Dragon Girl's joining us. Says, good evening. Glad you could join us, Dragon Girl. Mary Howard's in the house. Says, good evening, everyone. For some reason, I thought this was supposed to be last night. Oh, well, good to be here. Yeah, no. Last week was a Monday live stream, and that was because we wanted to schedule the live stream to get the information out from Michael and Rebecca, because they both had some really important announcements. So Rebecca was kind of tied up, I believe, on Tuesday with one of her businesses. So we went live on Monday. That kind of worked out better for both of them. So that's why we went live Monday of last week. Miranda Barnes in the house says, all right, good evening, everyone. Glad you could join us, Miranda. Fawn Taylor is joining us, says, good evening to all. Creative Exotics says, good evening. The Birdhouse says, hello from Ohio. I'm enjoying watching from my newly hatched Thieving Out of Farms chick run around the brooder. Watching my newly hatched Thieving Out of Farms chicks run around the brooder. Cool. I was just out in the wood shop working. I've got a brooder with a half a dozen Rhode Island Reds that I was kind of sitting back watching. It's been a while since I've had chickens, and I'm trying to figure out which out of the 6 are roosters. And I've got 2 of them. They're not very old. I think they're only like going on 3 weeks old. But I've got 2 of them that their comb is really pronounced and it's already getting red. So hopefully I've got 2 roosters and the rest are hens. Joy says, hello from Western Oregon. Glad you could join us, Joy. Lindsay's in the house. Say, hey, party people. Glad you could join us, Lindsay. Alicia says, evening all. Not talking to me. Lindsay says, beautiful. Some of my favorites she says about, I think she's talking to the Birdhouse. Yep, sorry about that. Katie's in the house, says hello. Glad you could join us, Katie. Mark Garrett's in the house, says hello all. T. Mercer says hello y'all. Hope everyone is doing well. Crocheting around New England. Trish, I'm enjoying your videos. Thank you. Thank you, Trish, and thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Nathan says hello. Lindsay says, ginger spotted. Oh, okay. Talking about the new, I got to go back up and see what you were saying. Oh, pansy and blue. Okay. Where are we at here? Jeremiah's in the house. Is greetings from Northern California. Glad you could join us, Jeremiah. You ever do a lot of spray painting and then later in the afternoon you swear you could taste it in your throat? And yes, I was wearing a mask, but I could still taste it. Mystical Cat says, hello from East Texas. Glad you could join us. Canal Aviola. I know I'm not going to get that right, but I don't even know what you're saying. So I'll put it up there so if anybody else speaks Spanish, they can understand what you're saying, because I don't. I'm sorry. Emma says, hello, everyone. Glad to be here tonight. Hope everyone is well, and I'm glad you could join us, Emma. I did see that you subscribed over to the Coturnix Corner Facebook group. Appreciate that. And that group is growing, guys. It seems like it exploded overnight. Hold on real quick. I just want to see. I mean, it seemed like not too long ago, we were down around 30,000 members, or 32,000 is what I can remember saying all the time. And we just broke 40,000 members over on the Facebook group page. So that is very encouraging and very surprising, actually. Kristen House says, I just started hatching 2 days ago to see a baby break out of the shell in. It's so cool. Yeah, actually, it is. As many times as I've watched chicks hatch, and I can't even tell you how many, I still find it amazing to watch them break out of the shell. It's like they say, it's like popcorn. They pop right out. But yeah, I'll never get sick of incubating eggs. No, I can't wait to do it again. As far as what I'm doing, guys, out in the shop, most of you know that I got rid of all my cages and all my indoor equipment is gone. I am starting to design and going to be building some new outdoor caging, which is where I'm going to be keeping all the birds now. Mainly because it must be over the years, past 6 going on 7 years of exposure to dust and dander being in my shop. It was starting to get to me. I mean, I could feel it in my lungs when I go out there and breathe. I'd have a tickle in the back of my throat. So no, we had to move that out. Plus my wife's got COPD and I really didn't want to expose her to that. So Tony's in the house. Is hi from Toronto. Glad you could join us, Tony. Vaughn says, how cold is too cold for quail? It's not really. Now, I'm talking fully feathered out adult quail. It's not really the temperature. They can handle pretty cold extremes as far as, low temperatures and high temperatures, but they need to be able to get out of the weather. So if you've got your birds outside and say it's, 20 degrees or 10 degrees, they can handle that no problem, as long as they can get out of the wind, out of, rain if it's raining, but they can handle the cold weather. Just make sure that they've got a way to get out of the weather if they need to. Miranda said, honeybees, cool. Lindsay says, congrats, Chris. It never gets old. I guess you're talking to someone else. Okay, Chris, yep. Chris says it's 14 degrees Fahrenheit at night in Idaho, and mine require no heat. Exactly. And even like down here in Florida, when I was keeping my birds out in the aviary or in my rooster grow-out pen, it would get not extremely hot, not like what they see out west, in Arizona and stuff, but we regularly saw, 95, almost to 100 degree temps. And they did just fine out there, as long as they had a way to get out of the sun. And it's nice to have a little bit of air movement out there, which kind of helps them stay a little bit cooler. But Mark says, I had an egg in my male pen. LOL, I need to recheck that one out a little more. Yep, I hear you. I've done that before. I've separated hens and roosters and found an egg in my rooster grow-out pen. Okay, not talking to me. Chris says, I'm doing this with my niece. We have 30 right now and 60 more in the incubator. Cool. Yeah, it's very addictive, and before you know it, you'll have hundreds of quail. I remember when I first got the Coturnix, and I told my wife I was going to keep them, because I always kept chickens out in the backyard. But I told her I was going to keep the quail in the shop, and just one cage, maybe 20, 30 birds. And somehow it got up to 300 birds, and then it got close to 500 birds. And yeah, that's when we had to kind of cut way back on them. Katie talking to Chris is how exciting. Chris, congratulations. I have some hatching eggs in the mail on the way to me today. I'm so excited. Yeah, it's kind of a good feeling knowing that eggs are being shipped to you, and can't wait to get them in the incubator. Mystical Cat says, hello from East Texas. I'm expecting my second set of hatching eggs from my Shire farm soon. Our first hatching egg is doing better now, but we did have a lot of losses. I would like more hatching time advice. What do you mean by hatching time advice? Is that what you're using, the hatching time equipment? If you could be a little bit more specific, maybe we can help you out there. I don't know if you're talking about the caging, the incubators, brooders, what. So. Chris says, I've been watching all the videos. Yeah, that's cool. It's good. T. Mercer says, any word on when the DIY incubator kits will hit and how much they will be? I'm shooting to have them available at the beginning of next year. I figure there's no big rush for them now because it's really not incubating season. Most people start incubating, as we're going into springtime. But I am working on it. I've got the CNC files are all done. I just need to go out, get some foam, do a sample cut. And I think when I do that sample cut, I'm actually going to make a video on it, just kind of showing how to assemble a production model DIY box. But yeah, hopefully I can have something, not by next week, but the following week. And if I do, I'll actually bring a little snippet of it here on the live stream. And but that my plan was to have them available and on the website by January 1. So. Dale says, my incubator's all set up. All I need is some eggs. Is that a hint, Dale? James says, hello, everyone. I got to start over. Wild dogs got into my cages and killed all my quail. Time to buy some eggs and start over. Yeah, that stinks. But, like you say, as long as you got the cages, set up to where the dogs can't get back in there again, starting over is no big deal. As fast as, the hatch rate, the growth rate, all that on quail is so quick anyhow. Harry says, hi, Terry. I'm having poor hatch rate, 3 out of 25 eggs, using my Genoa 12 incubator. What can I do to increase the hatch rate? Okay, the one thing about the Genoa 12 is a very entry-level incubator. I had a couple here that I gave away as prizes, and a friend of mine's granddaughter, I gave her once the Genoa 12, and she's done, 2 hatches out of it, and both times she got better than 50% hatch rate from eggs for me. But I can say I went through and tested the incubator, got it all dialed in for her, so I knew it was working right. So that's what I would suggest you do is before you set your next batch of eggs, set up a thermometer and a hygrometer inside the incubator, preferably a couple of them. That way you can kind of test one side and the other side of the incubator and get it dialed in. Because even though your gauge might say 99.5, it may be, 92.5 or maybe 101.5. So you really want to get it dialed in to make sure that you know what's going on inside the incubator is accurate regardless of what your regulator is saying on top of the incubator. And same with the humidity. Figure out where your humidity rides with no water in the incubator, and then add water to it and get an idea of where your humidity goes. You really got to know your incubator before you start setting eggs. If you go into it blind and you don't get a good hatch, it's really hard to determine what was the cause of the hatch. And your incubator may have been, spot on, temperature wise and humidity wise. You just may have got some, a bunch of bad eggs, that were either infertile or damaged due to shipping, whatever. So, yeah, first thing I would do, get your incubator dialed in, and then make sure that you're getting eggs from a reputable breeder. If you know somebody that's local to you that you can actually go pick them up, I find that you usually get better hatch rates on, eggs that didn't need to be shipped. So go from there. Miranda says, love that gesture from the Honeystead. Absolutely. It was so cool because here's how it happened. I got to talking about bees and with Anita Garrett, and I mentioned, or no, I believe she mentioned one of her friends kept bees and has a bee channel. I said, really? I said, what's the name of the channel? She said, the Honeystead. I said, no way. So that's how the whole thing started. And then for both of them to reach out and mention me twice in the video and then send me the hat, I just thought that was so cool. Lindsay says, question, do you trust the humidity sensor on the Therm Pros over the incubator? I have it sitting on the opposite side as a sensor, and it's reading 10% lower humidity. I have the heat adjusted now. What I would do, Lindsay, is use multiple Therm Pros. If you get, say you put 2, even 3 Therm Pros in there, and they're all reading about the same, then you can pretty much trust what they're saying. But if you got 2 of them that read one thing and one that reads something way off, but these 2 are matching what your regulator is saying, then you can pretty much know that your regulator is reading what the Therm Pros are saying. So, yeah, that's a whole nother side of dialing in your incubator. You got to dial in your thermometers too. I find the Therm Pros are pretty darn accurate, as far as consistency amongst the Therm Pros. But yeah, dial them in. Okay, I see you say you have the heat adjusted now, so cool. T. Mercer said, could you please enter me in the giveaways for the eggs and the gift cards? We can do that. Actually, everybody that is in the chat room is automatically entered, so you don't have to. You don't even have to ask. Miranda says, I would love more eggs. The collect them all urge is real. Absolutely, they are. The Birdhouse says, question, what would cause sticky brown goop in an egg that's hatching? I don't know, without seeing the sticky brown goop, I don't know. I mean, I've seen chicks hatch out where, you see blood come out of the egg. A lot of times that's normal. A lot of times I've had times where, chicks hatched out and the umbilical or the yolk sac, it wasn't fully absorbed, so you see some of that stuff. As far as sticky brown goop, I don't really know what it is. So, but as long as the chick hatches out healthy and everything, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Dawn says, good evening from chilly South Central Illinois. Glad you could join us today, Dawn. Lindsay says, Miranda, you must have grown up on Pokemon. How did you know? Got to catch them all. Okay, I get it now. Let's see. Alicia says, question, do quail in an aviary prefer small hides or larger one when it gets cold? Most of mine seem to sleep out in the open, but it hasn't got terribly cold yet. It does. I mean, they'll use both, but as long as they can get out of the weather, and like you say, they'll sleep out in the open if it's out of the weather. You know what I mean? Mine, I had, and these were mainly rain hides. They weren't so much for getting them out of the weather, but I had a box probably 24 inches wide, about 6 inches tall, that they could go in and out of. And then I had a lot of areas where I piled up some rocks and leaned some branches over it, kind of make it like a windbreak, with the branches. And that worked pretty good. But yeah, I know what you mean. Mine would always, because I use the deep litter method, they would always kind of like dig themselves into the mulch a little bit. And a lot of times you got to be careful walking out there. You end up stepping on one, you didn't even see them. So, but as far as preference, small and large, I don't think they really have a preference. Bill Thompson's in the house. Is good evening from 15-degree Pennsylvania bar. Absolutely. That is a little too cold. Miranda's talking to someone else. Vaughn says, can you put me in the giveaway for the eggs, please? Absolutely. You are in. Mary Jo's in the house. Says hi. Hi, Mary Jo. Glad you could join us. Bob Cole's in the house. Says, howdy, folks. Got 20 Thieving Otter Farm eggs cooking now. Cool. Hope you get a good hatch, Bob. Lindsay said, heck yeah, Bob. Which variety? Miranda says, anything that comes in colors. Quail Punnet squares are predictable and manipulatable. Perfect. Also, eggs, meat, win. Yeah, absolutely. Lindsay says, we've been conditioned to want to collect things. Yep. Are the rare colors / patterns are shinies. Yeah, that when I was starting to get into, studying genetics a little bit and looking at the different colors, I was the same way. I just always wanted the newest and latest thing that was coming out. Let's see. Clark's Mini Fish Room says, hi, all from UK. Glad you could join us. Miranda says, as far as eggs hatching, I set up a nanny cam and watch for the first hatch every time. I can check it from work. Never gets old. Cool. Half the time, my wife tells me when the chicks start hatching because I usually don't mess with the incubators until, like day 18, if I don't hear anything. But my wife says there's birds hatching and that. I guess you hear some chirping, peeping, whatever you want to call it. And my hearing must not be as good as hers because I can walk right past it and not hear it. Okay, now talk to me. Chris says, that's awesome. I need a baby cam. Hola, canal, avicola. I don't know what that means. I guess from West Virginia, maybe. Harry says, greetings. Oh, what is the status of the incubator kits? We just mentioned that. The design is done. It's just I'm not going to put them on the website until after January, right around January 1st. But not this coming Tuesday, or not a week from today, but 2 weeks from today, I will try to have the prototype done, and I'll bring some, either pictures or video here on the live stream, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. It's going to be cool because, just designing it, I can see that, wow, this is going to be so much easier for you guys to put away or to put together. And also I made it on the first model, on the first ones that we have on the channel, they're just a little bit too wide. And if you buy the egg turners, they're really hard to put them in there and get them to set without, worried about them falling over or falling off the rail. So we adjusted that. I also adjusted the height a little bit to make it easier to fit in the shipping boxes. So yeah, it's going to be nice. And the nice thing is everything is all pre-drilled for you. The holes for the fans, the 2 5.5-inch holes on the front plate, the holes for your light bulbs where it goes to the top. All the rails on the side are, there's a slot to where everything just slides right into. So it's going to be really easy to put together. I'm thinking the way I designed it on the CNC, you almost don't need to use screws to put it together. You can take it, run glue in all your channels, put your pieces in, maybe set a book or something on top of it to hold it, hold it together until that glue sets up, and you can get by without the screws. But I'm also cutting the wood for like around the door frames and the rails. You'll have little strips of wood that sit on top of the rails. Clark's Mini Fish Room says, unfortunately, I lost all my quail to a big red mite infestation this year. I only had 10. My neighbor bought some chickens and brung it in. Lost 3 chickens as well. Not a good year. Wow, sorry to hear that. I've never heard of a big red mite. I mean, I don't know. But luckily, knock on wood, I've never had a mite infestation. Miranda says, question I'd like to ask if you or anyone has more info on gout or leg issues related to feed issues. I can't find a lot from my searches. Have some hens hunching. I got them as adults from a friend. I can't help you out on that because I've never seen that problem. Maybe reach out to... Actually, I'll tell you what, Miranda. Go on the Coturnix Corner Facebook group. And there's a featured or a pinned post by, Jeff Maddox. And he's a poultry nutritionist. Ask him about it because if it's food related, he would know. Or maybe, Rebecca Lynch, reach out to her. She might have some idea. Ashley says, please enter me in the giveaway. So excited to be able to make this one. We're glad you made it. And you are automatically entered. Stephanie says, hey, glad you could join us, Stephanie. Miranda says, there are a few swollen feet and legs, but it doesn't look like bumblefoot as best I can tell. Gout? Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know that quail can get gout. I guess it's possible, but, swollen feet, you're not seeing any type of sores on the bottom of the feet, that could have got infected, causing them to swell. Again, reach out to Rebecca and or Jeff Maddox, and maybe they can help you out on that. Stephanie says, I want in the getaway. I think you mean giveaway, but okay. Emma says, question, did you attend QuailCon, Terry? No, I did not. Scott says, hello from southernish Texas again. I'm very close to getting my quail, but now my wife is asking which ones produce blue or green eggs. Do you know about this? Yeah, they're called Celadon eggs, which it's a light blue tint to the egg. I believe Rebecca Lynch from Thieving Otter Farms is working on a Celadon line. Not 100% sure, but I know Michael was, and if she's taken over everything Michael had, I'm sure she will have the Celadons. If not, check with Naomi Fannin from Kansas City Quail Farm. She can hook you up with those. Luis says, nice. Grow It Green says, any tips on transitioning birds for the winter? Well, being in Florida, I don't have a whole lot of transitioning to do. But what I would do, if your birds are outdoors, the change is going to be gradual anyhow, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like I say, just make sure that they have a way to get out of the weather if they need to, like out of the direct wind and rain and snow and whatnot. If they're young birds that you're trying to transition that are still on the heat right now, I would definitely do it slow. Once they're fully feathered, like around 3 to 3.5 weeks, they can pretty much be off the heat. But I would give them to at least 4 weeks before you try to, stick them outside, especially if temperatures are down around freezing. And again, make sure that they have a way to get out of the weather. Sundial Fragrance is in the house. Says, hello, Terry. Late, but I'm here. It's perfect. You're not really late. Wow. I'm actually gone longer than I planned on going, but that's okay. Mystical Cat says, yes, hatching time equipment, the whole quail cage setup, and incubator. I ran out of room to type. Um, okay, advice on. Okay, if you're using the hatching time incubator, once you've got it set up, they're basically plug and play. I mean, they're almost spot on when it comes to the regulator matching the temperature inside, and same with humidity. Humidity is, I've never had to make any adjustments for humidity. But what I would do is when you're incubating your eggs, um, incubate them for the first 14 days at around 30 to 35% humidity. And then when you put them into lockdown, bump it up to about 60 to 65%. And that'll get you through the incubation part of it. As far as the brooders, if you're using the hatching time brooder, um, watch your chicks. If the chicks are all huddled underneath that heating element, you need to bump the heat up a little bit in there. If they're way off in the corners, and trying to stay away from the heating element, you've got it way too hot. You need to turn it down. I actually had a brooder set up here from Hatching Time that I ended up getting rid of because with the temperature down here, the brooder was all way too hot. Those brooders have the solid see-through plastic doors on them. I took those off. I put the standard cage doors on them with a little piece of screen across the front, and it was still too warm in there. So I ended up getting rid of those cages. And then as far as, once you got them out of the brooder and in your layer cages, they should do fine. Are you having, are they dying off on you? Is that the problem you're having? Are you having poor hatch rates? The hatching time cages work really well. I know a lot of people say that you're better off with, an all wire cage or something that you can see. Every cage has its good points and bad points. I can point out good stuff about hatching time cages. I can point out bad stuff about hatching time cages. I can point out good stuff about GQF equipment, Winola Ranch equipment, and I can point out bad stuff about the same. So it's just making what you've got work for you. And I had hatching time cages and I loved them because one, they were very easy to keep clean. I never had a single case of bumblefoot because of the size of the plastic flooring. Once we went to they call it partridge flooring, which is the bigger flooring. Once we went to that, I didn't have any manure issues. I didn't have any, again, bumblefoot. But like I said, there are changes that I made to those cages, like the watering system. I didn't care for their watering system, so I put horizontal nipples in there. That took care of that problem. Their manure trays, didn't like those, so I got rid of all those and put the metal automotive drip pans in there, and they work great. Andy Rabbit's in the house, says hello. Glad you could join us, Andy. Otis says, put me in for the eggs. I never win anything. Ah, poor Otis. You're already in for the eggs there, Otis. Diana Tuttle Farms and Tut Farms says, hey all, glad you join us. Miranda says, I put 2 mason jars filled with water with tinfoil lid and a hole to let in a bit of humidity. It seems to keep the temp more stable. Are you talking in the incubator now? Because you shouldn't have to put any water in the incubator. They've got the tray that slides in the bottom. You can fill that up. But with that vaporizer system, even without the tray, you can get that humidity up to wherever you want it. So, Mary Jo's in the house says, yay. Andy says, I just had a good hatch. 28 went into lockdown, 26 hatched out. Congratulations. That is a good hatch. Very good. Emma says, congratulations. Carrie Perez is in the house. Says, hello. Glad you could join us, Carrie. Alicia says, yeah, my guys love the deep litter method. Only downside is I've stepped on 2 buried eggs. Been there, done that. I like the deep litter method because it's so easy to keep clean. You go out there, every other week, turn it over a little bit. And then, at the end of the year, usually about 6 to 8 months is when I would do mine. You've got a whole pile of perfect compost ready to go in the garden. Then you fill up your deep litter box again. don't know what Chris is talking about there. Lindsay says, thanks, Terry. My last hatch was 2 of 12, so I'm trying to troubleshoot. They were shipped, so postal service is a possibility, but the temp was in the 97-degree range. That's no good if the Therm Pro is accurate, and then 10% humidity. Okay, well, that would be your problem. 97 is on the very low end. It should be closer to 99. 99.5 is what I shoot for. So anywhere between 99 and 100 degrees would be good. And then 30% humidity is what you want to incubate at until you go into lockdown. So Bob says, I let Rebecca pick. This should be interesting. Okay. Oh, that's Bob. Were you a winner on one of the giveaways? Is that where your eggs are coming from? Chris says, so happy Quail Farm. Say hello from Indiana. Glad you could join us, Chris. And hello. GIS Hertz says, greetings from Birmingham. I believe that would be Alabama. Olive's in the house says, question, I'm looking for a new thermometer / hygrometer for my incubator. What brands work the best for a reasonable price? I go with Therm Pros. They're available on Amazon. I usually buy them in packs of 3 or 4. And I want to say it's like $15 for 3 of them. And Therm Pros have always done well for me. I don't know where they're at. I used to have them in here. They may be out in the shop. Nope, that one's. This is what I had, and it doesn't even work. I think. Dead already. That's a Govee. These I don't use. I bought a pack of 3 or 4 of these Govees, and not one of them read the same. So I don't recommend them. I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people swear by them because they're programmable, I guess. But when I saw that 4 out of 4 were not reading the same, I'm like, nah, I don't want this. Let's see. Creative Exotic says, I'm really enjoying learning all the genetics of the quail and comparing the differences between quail and reptile genetics. Yeah, I mean, when I first got into quail, I didn't care a thing about genetics. All I wanted was meat and eggs. That was the only reason I even got into quail. But then a young lady named Allie from Maine's Confetti Quail Farm and a guy out of the Netherlands named Klaus Marshall kept telling me about this and that and these beautiful colors, and so they both reached out and kind of helped me out with understanding genetics a little bit better. Allie actually did a little what do they call them? Playlist. Jeez, a playlist on the channel here about beginner genetics. So good place to start. Clifton Bucks in the house says, good evening from South Mississippi. I put 90 on lockdown Sunday and have 2 peeping this evening. Hope for a good hatch. Congratulations and good luck. Hope you get a good hatch. Leanne's in the house says, I've been raising chickens for years and I'm thinking of switching to quail. Do quail interact and let people hold them like chickens do? Yeah, I know a lot of people that interact with their quail, and basically treat them just like they would chickens. The only thing I wouldn't suggest is I wouldn't let them out, run out in your yard like free ranging chickens, because they're not going to follow you around like a chicken would, for feed or whatever. Quail kind of have their own mind, but I've had quail, in my cage setups come to the door when I'm out there. I know why they're coming to the door. It's not because they like me, but they know that I'm the guy with the feed. So. Okay, GIS Herb says, testing out my old Brinzy Ova Easy 3/8er as a hatcher, and it dried up the whole water tank from Friday to Monday, dropped to 30%, none hatched yet. Evaporation block came in the day after lockdown. Okay. Were they in lockdown when it dropped to 30%? Because that's kind of it's really low for lockdown. But, at 30%, that's what I incubate at during the first 14 days. Creative Exotic says, what's the best way to dispatch 0 to 1 week old quail? I just grab the head in one hand, and it's the fastest. To me, it might sound cruel, but to me it's the fastest and the most humane way. They never know what happened. Olive says, I would love to be entered for the eggs, but I did win a few streams ago. So if it's too soon, I completely understand. Oh, it's going to be a while before you win again. Nah, just kidding. We try to pick new people for the most part, but a lot of times, like I've had Rebecca choose winners, Michael choose winners, and a lot of times I choose winners and I forgot that I chose them and I picked them again, 2 or 3 weeks later. So you never know. Joyce has got to get me an incubator kit. They will be available soon, Joy, I promise you. Harry says, can't wait for your incubator kits to come out. Do you have an approximate cost? I'm trying to keep it. Let me give you a breakdown. I got $31. I just priced the foam. It's $31.80. So figure $32 for a sheet of foam. It takes one sheet of foam to make the incubator. Then I got time on the CNC to cut them out. I'm gonna, and then I haven't decided yet whether I want to include like the light bulb receptacles, a piece of plexiglass for the window. I'm thinking I might. I'm going to try to keep it right around $100 if possible. I think that's fair. You're gonna get a lot better looking incubator. Yeah, a lot better looking incubator than if you tried to cut it out by yourself, like with a razor knife or even a hot foam knife. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I'm gonna sit down and figure out exactly what I got into them, and then maybe tack just a little bit on for my time, and then and shipping. And we'll call it good. Miranda says, I have contacted Jeff and sent him some nutrition labels. Got the all clear with addition of the breeder booster. I'll follow up with them. Okay, perfect, Miranda. Lindsay says, my incubator is reserved. I should have some Thieving Otter Farm eggs coming very soon, hence my incubator troubleshooting. Okay, yeah, definitely, go through, set it up, run it for 48 hours, so what's going on with the incubator. Make sure it's holding a good steady temperature and where it's at. Throw some water in there. See where you get the humidity up to. See how long the water lasts, before it evaporates. Miranda says, no sores at all, no fever that I could feel, no worries. I'll email for trial. There you go. Chris says, love your video, building cages, so helpful. Cool. Glad that you're getting some use out of them. Andy said, for Celadons, I went through Kansas City Quail. Yeah, Naomi's one of the only people that I've known, that's kept a line of Celadons going for a while. Seems like, people get started with Celadons and, okay, I'm not going to keep them anymore. And, they move on to other projects and whatnot. So, perfect. Carrie says, I now have a 4-layer hatching time. Quail, so much less work, and I have more room for my project and Thieving Otter Farm secret spring release. Cool. Yeah, I had the 3 layers. I don't know if you saw, Carrie, but on the channel I built a stand that you could put the cage up on top of. That made it really nice for reaching that lower level. The only problem with that was when I wanted to wheel the cages outdoors, I had to, first I'd empty everything out of the cages, the birds, the manure trays, and the water. And then I had to have my wife help me set it down off the stand so I could wheel it out and wash them up. Lindsay says, Bryant's Roost also has Celadons. I think I saw they are mostly tuxedos. Jennifer sometimes pops in here too. Yes. As a matter of fact, Jennifer has donated 1 set of eggs that we'll be giving away tonight. And Jennifer, I'm just gonna tell you guys, Jennifer and HP Murray are the other 2 people that we are looking at for channel supporters, as far as, helping out with, donating eggs to give away and, stuff like that. So, and I will know more on that. I told HP that I'm working to, I'm working to figure out what I want to do as far as next year goes. But I would definitely be getting back with him and Bryant's Roost. Well, Jennifer pretty much knows she's already in. So, but yeah, and HP's got some nice stock too. So, Leo says, "What the? I made it! Surprise live! Cool. Glad you did." Chris says, "Terry, your videos are awesome. Thank you, absolutely, and thank you for watching them." Al says, "You want your chicks evenly distributed." Yes, in the brooder, you want them kind of spread out, not all bundled up in one area. Good point, Al. Sundial Fragrance says, "I got 11-day-old quail chicks, no heat plate on in the garage and the brooder. It's 60 during the day here in Texas. It's safe to transfer them. Is it safe to transfer them outside in another week, or should I keep them longer?" If you've already got them off the heat at 11 days old, by the time they're 3, they're going to be, for the most part, fully feathered out. Yeah, they should be able to go outside. If you do get a really cold snap, between now and say 4 or 5 weeks of age, I would probably keep them indoors for that, or maybe just throw a heat lamp out there, just to that way they've got some way to warm up a little bit if they do get a little bit chilled. But yeah, by 3 and 4 weeks, they'll pretty much handle everything. I mean, being in Texas too, your weather's pretty much about the same as what we've got here. And I put mine outside at 3.5 weeks all the time, and they do just fine. Al says, "My hatching time brooders, I had some issues with the baby quail hanging themselves on the watering system. Switched to purely watering cups." I'm trying to think. In the hatching time brooders, don't they have the cup that's got the floating nipple in it that it fills up, and the nipple acts as a float to shut the water off? I don't know how they would hang themselves, but yeah, mine had the watering cups in it, but they were the self-filling cups because chicks are a little bit young; they don't know how to depress that little plunger. Sundial Fragrance says, "At night it's getting in 45s and 50s. Like I say, they should be fine. 3.5 weeks, like I say, they're pretty much fully feathered out, and they can handle 45s and 50s all day long." And another thing too, especially if you got a lot of chicks in one cage, they'll huddle. They'll huddle together to warm up. So they're, especially 45 and 50, that's really not that cold. Pappy's Homestead's in the house. It's Hello from West Virginia. Better late than never. Pappy, I did forward your information over to Hatching Time, and you should have already received your gift certificate. Bob says, "Yes, I won eggs on a giveaway a couple weeks ago. She shipped them last Monday. I got them yesterday. Turkey Day week delay." Yep. Okay, now I remember. Cool. Well, you got them, and hopefully it'll be a nice surprise when the hatch comes out. Lindsay says, "It's hard to get the whole message in. The incubator was set at 99.5. Therm Pro Red, 97 point whatever. On the other side of the incubator, it's showing like 10% lower humidity than the incubator." Yeah, what I would do, Lindsay, in that case, what I said earlier, get multiple thermometers and put in there. This is before you put any more eggs in there. And find out what's reading correctly. I mean, if you have multiple thermometers in there, you're going to have a couple of them that are going to be closer than one that stays off. But for a Therm Pro to be 2 degrees off, I've never had one that far off. They're usually all within a half a degree, maybe 3/4 of a degree. So, I forgot what kind of incubator you said you had. But yeah, definitely, fine tune it to where you know what's correct, whether it's your regulator or your thermometers. Mr. Mata's in the house. Says hello from Southern California. Glad you could join us. Lindsay says, so something is off. You would think none would hatch if the levels were so off, but I guess I had too little fighters. Well, even at 97 point whatever, you can still get chicks to hatch. They just might hatch late. And if that was the case, what I would have done is I would have looked at all the eggs of the one, open the ones that didn't hatch, and see at what level of development they were at or what stage of development, and kind of get an idea. Okay, the chicks were dying off at 10 days old or whatever, and then just try to figure it. But if you had two hatch and they hatched late, I would definitely think that it was your temperature being too cold. So then, again, your therm pros would have been correct. Al says, those ginger quail look cool. Wonder how they would look crossed to the black quail. Somebody asked that question in last week's live, and I don't remember exactly what Rebecca said. I know she did not try to breed them back to the blacks yet. You might maybe want to review that video, that live stream. It was last week, Tuesday. And matter of fact, I probably ought to go back and watch it again myself, because a lot of times when I'm doing the live, I'm doing other stuff besides listening to exactly what's being said. Lindsay says she hasn't bred the orange to black yet, so it's a grand mystery. Maybe you will be the first. There you go. Fang says 35% humidity. Why does everyone suggest 45%? I don't know why. No, that's kind of when I first got into quail, it was incubate at 50% humidity and lock down at 70 and 75%. Well, I found out that a lot of the babies were fully developed, but they were dying in the egg because the air cell was so small that when they did the internal pip, they used up all the oxygen before they could externally pip, and they ended up suffocating inside the egg. So cut your humidity back to 30 to 35% during incubation. You get a little bit bigger sized, a little bit larger air cell, and you don't need 75 to 80% humidity when you go into lockdown. 60 to 65% is about perfect. So, yeah. Fang says, so happy I got chosen for eggs last week. Thanks, guys. Glad I made it today. I'm glad you could join us today. And I remember that. Rebecca chose you for the hatching eggs. GIS Herp says they were in lockdown. I did a Hail Mary pass and opened up and filled the pan again. Put lots of evaporation block in. Crushed fingers. I'll have to run a gravity drip into the block water when the parts come. Frustrating. Yeah. That's an older incubator, if I remember right. Right? Okay, Pappy's Homestead said, I love the Terry baiter I made last year. Mine's still out in the shop, still works perfect. Like I say, I can't wait for the new one to come out I can't wait for the new prototype to be done, because I think it's going to look a lot nicer, and it's just going to be so much easier for you guys to put together. You don't have to worry about, cutting things nice and straight, and everything will be cut precision. Harry says, thanks, Terry. Price sounds right. Okay, cool. Glad to know that. Thanks. This question for everyone. What and where do you all hide all your quail poo? They poop so much. I was away for 3 days. I had a quail sitter, but came back to huge overloaded poop trays. I don't hide mine. I have a pile out back that I just keep dumping it on, and it's my compost pile. And I get black soldier fly legs in there, and pretty soon I got a ton of black soldier fly larvae, and they turn it into compost in no time. So, Child of God's in the house is very late today, but I made it, and we are glad that you did. Chris says, it's valued manure for my yard and garden. Absolutely. Double R Farm says, what kind of mic and interface do you use? Are you talking about the live streams? I'm not sure exactly the brand name. I've used so many different mics. I used to use just a standard shotgun mic. Let me show you that one real quick. This is just a regular Asden shotgun mic. I used this for the longest time when I first got into live streaming, and then I thought, this one, I bought it and it came with well, you can't see the whole thing, but it came with the stand, to kind of hold it, and it's got a pop filter on it, and it works pretty good. It's just USB right into the back of the Mac Mini there. Okay. Although the only thing I don't like about this mic is it's too omnidirectional. I like the shotgun mic. It's more of a targeted thing. Like the shotgun mic, you could barely hear the air conditioner. This one, if I'm quiet, I'm sure you guys can hear it running in the background, especially if I turn off echo cancellation. Should have just got louder. Anyhow. Fang says, Chris, I think I've already over-fertilized everything. Haha. I'll tell you what you can do, Fang. I was taking my compost, and I was the same way. I'd put what I could in my garden, and then the rest of it I would take and fill up feed bags with it and set it out to the road. I was giving it away, but I've had people that stop by and take it, and they say, you can sell this stuff. People pay good money for good compost. So, there's another potential income stream for you. Sundial Fragrance says, thanks, Terry. Sign me up for the eggs. Absolutely. Mary says, Fang, throw it in the trash after I use all I can. I've done that too. The past, I want to say 8 months probably. We were cleaning cages and throwing it right in garbage cans and letting the garbage man take it away because well, one, my bees are sitting on top of where my compost pile was, so I had nowhere to dump it. Double R Farm says it's not the cold that will get them, it's the high winds. Absolutely. Dragon Girl says, question, my latest hatch had 2 chicks with knocked over feet. I had a family over for the holiday, so I didn't call right away. After 2 days, I went to take care of them, but everyone was walking in the room. Yeah, you mean that they had like bumblefoot or clenched fist feet? Sometimes you can, if you catch it early, you can make those little cardboard snowshoes for them. They look kind of like snowshoes, and that'll take care of it. I'm like you. If I notice a chick has, any kind of issues, I put them out of their misery from day one. I don't spend the extra time or waste the extra time trying to fix a problem. So. Al says they would hang on the hose and the hose. Oh, yeah. Now I know what you mean. That's right, because they do. They have that plastic hose running along the inside of the back of the brooder. Yeah, I never ran into that problem. Dragon Girl says, walking normally. Has this happened to anyone else? Like I say, I call immediately when I notice problems. So. John says, hello from Texas. I've recently gotten quail. I have them in cages in a shed outside that is partially closed in. Is 16 hours lighting better than 24-hour lighting? Oh, definitely. I kept all my birds on a 16-hour day. One, it's enough light for the hens to, keep producing eggs. And it's also enough dark time for them to, get a little lights out sleep, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, 16 hours, I think it's perfect. Okay, Lindsay says it's a Coturnix. Maybe I need a Terry Baiter. Do they come in pink? Yes, they do. That's all they come in. Well, actually, no, I think you can get them in blue, too. Backyard Quail Keeper says, just hatched my last hatchlings of the year, I guess, before winter. Okay, cool. Antonio says, I have feral Celadon and blue Tibetans, not Celadon. How long would it take to breed a blue Tibetan Celadon? Well, I'm not a big Celadon. I mean, I've never kept Celadons, but obviously you're going to have to introduce that gene into your blue Tibetan line, and then you know what? Ask Rebecca. She can explain it more genetically accurate than I can. Um, you're going to have to introduce the Celadon gene into your Tibetans, and then keep breeding back to known Celadon carriers to keep that line producing Celadons. Mary says, Dr. Fang, I don't have much choice. We have a carefree yard, so we don't have much use for the poop. I do have 2 raised beds, so I top coat them, and all the rest goes in the garden. That should be garbage. Okay. I try to give it away. I mean, I hate wasting, raw manure. Yeah, I'll throw that out. But if I was making compost, I definitely would give it away. Neighbors, all the neighbors around me have it, or have gardens and stuff, so they could use it. Fred says, always looking for eggs. Just got 30 jumbo whites from HP. Cool. Yeah, hopefully in the near future, HP will be another one on the list of hatching egg giveaways, and we'll be able to do some really decent giveaways. Guys, it's already 8:15 here. How much? We don't have a whole lot left. We'll go another 15 minutes, and I gotta go. Miranda says, you might ask around to see if any gardeners want to come scoop it and take it home. That's free black gold for your garden if you have the space for it. I had meat rabbits, and people paid me for it. Absolutely. The privilege of scooping poo. Mystical Cat said, I'm wondering if it's too hot here in Texas as well. The cages are set up in a temperature-controlled metal building right now. I do have more questions. Can I email? Absolutely. Terry at coturnixcorner.com. And, yeah. I'll help you out as best I can. But that was the issue that I thought. I mean, I kept my birds indoors on an enclosed carport, but it was air conditioned. I tried to keep it. I always said that I was keeping it climate controlled for me, make it easier for me to work out there. But, in the back of my mind, it's 95 degrees outside. I don't want to put the birds out there. They'll cook. So, but I'm sure they would have done just fine, because my birds in the aviary did fine. My birds in the rooster grow-out pen, they were always fine outside. So, Emma Bell says, I like the name Terry Bader. That's quite catchy. Terry, have you a name for your kit? I don't. I mean, I've always called it the DIY box. It's a DIY incubator, so, yep. Yeah, a lot of people have called it the Terry Bader. Bob says, compost pile, absolutely. Miranda says, wow, that echo reducer works great. Yeah, the funny thing is, echo cancellation isn't made to get rid of background noise for me. It's made to get rid of background noise on the guest if I bring guests in. That's why I always tell my guests to wear earbuds, so their speakers aren't making background noise that I've got to filter out. Stephanie says, that's awesome. Julio says, hatched 20 Celadons from Naomi 2 days ago. Congratulations. Loving these Van Popuds incubators. The hold temp's great. Wish I had the coil tray for it. Oh, sign me up for some eggs, please. I never win nothing either. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, the Van Popuds, I'll tell you what, for a entry-level incubator, it works amazing. I mean, I've got 2 of them here. I've only used 1 of them, but I've hatched 4 batches of eggs out in that one, and great hatch rates all 4 times. Incubator did great as far as holding temperature, holding humidity. So yeah, and I think what happens, I think that incubator, one, it's built in China, shipped from China. I think if you look at it, it's like a Brinzia knockoff. So I think maybe they kind of borrowed the Brinzia idea, made their own, and selling it back to us. So I don't know. GIS Herb says the guy I last got quail from sells their poo to someone who composts it down and sells it for $27.50 a bag for a 5-pound bag as prize-winning rose fertilizer. Wow, that's cool, man. You could make money off of anything. You can market anything if you do it correctly. Mary says, Terry, this last batch of babies are wonderful. They come up and gently peck at my fingers and rings. They turn their heads and look at me and chirp softly. That's cool, Mary. Yeah, I know they can be, kind of neat. People say, can you make pets out of them? I've never done it, but I've heard of a lot of people that have. Child of God says, yes, I've had chicks that the feet corrected the problem on their own. Absolutely. And he says, I put quail poop in my compost bin in the winter. I put it in pots and garden beds. Yep, nice. Fang says, I saw people put splay feet chicks in cups. Yeah, I don't. That's another problem that I don't try to solve is a bird that has splay leg. If they hatch out, usually if you've got some type of drawer liner material in the incubator, that's going to keep them from mechanically, we'll call it, getting splay leg. But if they have an issue, they just have weak tendons and they can't, stand on their own, I'm not going to worry about trying to fix the problem. I just, put the bird down. Like I always look at it like, survival of the fittest or, weed out the weak genes, that kind of setup. Chris says, who do you recommend that sells 2 to 3 week old birds? I know Michael Rose is selling live birds. I'm not sure on the ages. It might be closer to 3 week old birds. But I'll tell you what, get a hold of our moderator, Double R Farms, and because he's talking about going in to start shipping live birds also, live quail also. So, yeah, talk to him. Now, it says, is there a difference between supplementing light at the start versus the end of the day? I did both. My lights would come on before the sun came up, and they would stay on until after the sun went down. So, do whatever works best for you. If keeping the lights on longer in the evening is going to help you out as far as feeding and stuff goes, that's what I would do. Or if you've got to get up early and leave for work, and you got to take care of your birds before you leave, have the lights come on earlier, and not stay on as late. I don't think the birds will acclimate to it. I don't think it's an issue as far as. That's a good idea, Andy. I don't think it's an issue of when. You know what I mean. Andy says, Terry, you should get Rebecca to do a live about breeding celadons. Yeah, that would be a good one. Actually, I would bring on a couple different people for doing celadons. Naomi Fannin would be a really good one because she's done celadons for quite a while. And I don't know right now, I don't know where Rebecca stands as far as, I know obviously she understands the genetics behind it, but I don't know how long she's been doing celadons or if she's just now getting into it. I'm sure we'll hear from her eventually. And her tips for a winter hatching. It's our first time with cold temps. Just make sure that your incubator is in a climate-controlled room where the temperature stays steady in that room. And then same with your brooders. At least for the first week, keep that brooder in a room where there's not a whole lot of variation. It doesn't drop down, obviously, below freezing or everything in the room. And then after that, like, you can move them out into a different room, that's maybe not heated as much, and they can just use the heat source from the light or whatever you're using to warm up. Double R Farm says you will have to breed the Tibetan to the celadon if successfully passing the trait. Then you will have to replicate it 3 times to be sure it will hold true. Otherwise, you need to start over until you can replicate 3 generations or more. There you go. Would love for you to come out with a brooder kit. We've already thought about that idea, and the only way I thought of doing a brooder kit would be, I mean, there's other people that sell brooder kits out of wood. I'm not a big fan of wood because one, it absorbs manure smells. You can get, if you were to have issues with mites and stuff, they can, become embedded in the wood, or not embedded in the wood, but hide in the wood and stuff. But I was thinking about a brooder kit made out of foam, same stuff we do the incubators out of. And yeah, so that's an idea. The Terry brooder and the Terry baiter. That would be cool. Cool. Thanks, Lindsay. Good idea. You guys just piling more work on me and piling more work on me. All right. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing, I'm looking for people's names here. All right, guys. The names that I call for winners, I need you guys to email me your shipping information to, I'll put my email address up there. It's Terry, Terry, at CoturnixCorner.com. And make sure you include, obviously, your address, but I need a good email and a good phone number. So if the email that you're sending it to me is not an email that you check all the time, maybe give me one that you do. And because these breeders a lot of times will want to contact you prior to shipping. So that's why I get both. That's why I get a phone number and an email. All right, I think I've seen one more pop up here from Fang. Okay. Lindsay said, we're just trying to get you out of the fumes, Terry. LOL. I'm hoping that it was clear coat that I was spraying. Hopefully that's all dried up by now. Let's see, the last batch of hatches kind of sucked. 48 eggs, 9 hatched. 2 chicks died in the brooder. 1 drowned in the water cup, and the other just dropped dead. 10 more eggs still in the incubator, not doing anything. Yeah, that's a shame. Out of 48 eggs, you only got 9 hatched. Something wasn't right. Whether it was an issue with the eggs being shipped, always a possibility. I would lean probably more towards you had something going on in your incubator that wasn't quite right. Whether it's, too cold of a temperature, too warm of a temperature, humidity not holding right. But even, I've had hatches where, my incubator messed up, the heating elements went out, and I didn't realize it. Eggs got down to like 45, almost 50 degrees, and I don't know how long they were like that, and they still hatched out fine. So, yeah, if they were shipped eggs, I would lean more towards it being a shipping issue. Hopefully, the last 10 you'll get a few out of, but I don't like to hatch eggs out too late. And by too late, I mean I don't like letting them go. Well, I never go past 18 days. I've heard of people going 21, 22 days in an incubator, and to me that you just you run into more problems than it's worth. So, anyhow. Thank you for the tips. Foam brooder seems like a good idea. Andy says, I think Rebecca got her celadons about 6 or 8 months ago, if my memory is right. Okay, yeah, I'll talk to her about it. Definitely, Andy. That's a good idea. And we'll see if we can't get Rebecca back in here. All right, I got the people chosen for our giveaway. $50 Hatching Time gift certificates going to Lindsay Harless. Lindsay, make sure I get definitely a good email from you because that's how they send it to me. Miranda Barnes, you're getting some eggs from Bryant's Roost. And Julio Q, you're getting some Thieving Otter Farm eggs. So, again, guys, shipping address, email, and phone number. And that's going to Terry at CoturnixCorner.com. So, guys, I want to thank you for joining me tonight. We went an hour and a half, which is a lot longer than I planned on it. But, it is what it is, and it's actually fun. I like doing this kind of stuff. So, If you guys are around Sunday, join us on Morning Musings, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the channel. Good time. Like I say, it's not anything topic related. We just kind of get together, drink our coffee, and talk about whatever. And then don't forget, I believe it's next week, Wednesday, is the American Coturnix Breeders Association meeting. If you guys are into that, join us at the meeting or check out the website, coturnixbreeders.com. What else we got going? Next week, Tuesday, we'll be announcing the winners of the Coturnix Kids Project. So that's always interesting. And like I say, if you got kids that are interested in joining up into that, join us over on coturnixcorner.com. That's where you guys can sign up for that. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next Sunday.